Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of my F1 2021 driver career mode on the road to Mercedes. Yes, as you see, setting up in just the background. Of course, I did have a little bit of an introduction in the channel update video, so go and check that out. I'll also get details about other F1 2021 gameplay coming to the channel. This is the calendar though. Spain, not going to do it because it hasn't been updated at turn 10, so in steps Canada and Singapore as two tracks. Russia, I haven't raced at Russia in a career mode episode for years, and I don't fancy starting now really, so Canada and Singapore are being added to the calendar even though they're cancelled. And then also Australia and Abu Dhabi haven't been updated, so we've got Singapore, Japan, USA, Mexico, and finishing quite nicely at Brazil for season 1. Hopefully by the time season 2 comes out, Imola, Portimao and Co will be on the track. As you see there, my assists there. Interestingly, excuse me, there was one some of the assists were locked, not the assists, the career mode sliders were locked for this driver career mode. But yes, we're going to have a 25% race, which is going to allow us to have the safety car on, increased safety car, because I think the safety car, if it comes out in an episode, spices the thing up, and especially the fact that this is 25% career mode, we're not going to see that on site. But yes, AI level will start with 91, as I found out that in this episode doesn't really do well being at 91. I had to have it a little bit higher. Car damage rate, simulation and so on. Collisions are on, low fuel mode is hard, so yes, that was annoying. The career mode settings there only meet the press and R&D manage as well. Now we've got set up our driver. We're going to use the same bloke that we did last time in F1 2020, so this stuff is literally a formality as well. So, and then of course the helmet design as well. I've gone for this arrow thing because it's a simple design. Actually looks quite nice. It's simple, but it looks quite nice from the T-cam, which you'll see in a bit as well. But there's not a lot of stuff available at this moment in time. They've removed quite a lot of those old helmets that they used to have as well. So team select, we're going to be driving, as I mentioned in that channel update, we're going to be driving for Williams. They do need, though, the vehicle performance comparison needs to be updated, because Aston Martin are not the third fastest car on the grid. This is clearly been based on last year's performance, maybe pre-season testing as well a little bit, although Aston Martin weren't there really. Willie and Haas are currently shown to be ahead of Williams, so yes, that's the plan of action. Obviously George Russell will be our teammate, Latifi will be the reserve driver, but let's go down to the team HQ, and here we are in a familiar place, back again with a slightly different background. We've got Max this time instead of Carl. Hopefully he hasn't heard about practice programs, but I'm sure he'll be moaning at some point about them. R&D already spec 1, spec 2 on durability, which is not really what we wanted. A 25% race, as I showed on F1 2020, durability really doesn't really affect you unless season 1 really, unless you run obviously lots of power units. But if you manage it, you could manage it to do 3 seasons, but probably end up taking another set of parts at some point due to my terrible qualifying. And we're going to put some R&D upgrades. I'll try to put one. We're going to put a front downforce upgrade on, and we're going to put a weight redistribution upgrade on as well. Again, a lot of the stuff is locked at the moment, which and not even shown. So that's the disadvantage of not seeing the R&D tree. You can't see which upgrades you want to have long term, that path, really, because all you get to see is the next one that unlocks as well. We're going to fast forward through time now, and we're going to head now to the car reveal to reveal the Williams. And there the car is then, the new Williams, the car that we're going to start our career mode with, as well as we move, of course, through the calendar towards our first Grand Prix. Unfortunately, the Sashi upgrade failed. The aero upgrade did pass, so we'll be able to progress on with the that upgrade, but it doesn't really help us anyway with that front wing plate lower. Obviously we've got a lot of front downforce, but we need to focus on getting also on the Sashi. Those are the two parts of the R&D that I really want to focus on. Engine power is quite good. We know the Mercedes is the fastest, and that until they rejig the performance, I'm going to keep focus on Sashi and aero.
Hey, welcome to the team. Good to finally meet you. I'm Max. I'm the head of R&D here. I've been following your career closely, and I have to say I'm a huge fan. I think we're going to get on great. This is your machine. From here you can track your performance, look into R&D upgrades and much more. Let me know if you run into any problems.
Well, there's a problem right there on the left of us, because under the implement of Williams is an Australian. That's why that we had that R&D failure. It's Ben's fault. Anyway, let's move then to the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Hello folks, and welcome to Paddock Pass, your pre-race edition for the inaugural round of the 2021 Formula One World Championship. And I've got to say, it feels great to be back. As is tradition, there is something of an air of a first day back at school on arrival here. But it's more than that. It's a breath of fresh air. It's an element of normality in what has at times felt to be something of an abnormal world. Now, we were supposed to have a raft of new regulations this season, but as we know, they've been held back, which does give all of these teams the opportunity to have a second bite at the cherry, one final chance to show what they can do in this era of Formula One. But the responsibility for results, as always, falls on the drivers. But with the cars at their disposal this year being very similar to the cars they had at their disposal last year, succeed, and they of course will put it all on themselves as a display of their innate skills and abilities. But the knife cuts both ways, because if they fail to succeed, there's absolutely nowhere for them to hide. The other question though remains as to which of these teams has been able to do the incredible, the impossible perhaps, with these regulations, and pull something out of the hat over the winter that gives them the march on their rivals. As always, we can't wait for this season to begin, but for now, from us, that's your lot.
That's your dose of Will Buxton for you in this career mode. You're not going to be featuring again. But anyway, moving to qualifying then, as we look at some of the data to see where we can go faster. Currently 14th, so not going to do too badly. I mean, to be fair though, the AI is a little bit lower compared to what it should be, but I think we can go a little bit better. Not making up too much time, but we're actually slightly down through the first couple of corners, but on acceleration out of turn 2, made an improvement. We're now actually a 10th up going through into middle sector, being pulled along by the Ferrari in front of us without its disgusting Michelin window logo on. 2.5 tenths up on Sonoda through the first sector, but you can see they were only slightly up on, I think there's the understeer kicks in at the hairpin there. Almost a 10th up on our previous test best time. Middle sector, it's where we lose a bit. As I haven't mentioned yet, but this is the tyre model makes these cars handle completely differently. they're a lot more slidey, and there's a lot more understeer in this year's cars, especially at the next episode, which is from hell, basically, known as the Monaco Grand Prix. You'll see that later in the week. 3 tenths up now anyway as we finish our qualifying lap, closing in on the Ferrari who's on his cool down lap, almost losing a little bit of time throughout the final corner. We're just going to straight line up to the line, 3.5 tenths, almost 3.5 tenths up, and it's not going to tell us the position because they got rid of that on this year's game. Instead we're going to have a look at Leclerc coming into the pits. Lewis Hamilton took pole ahead of Bottas. Norris doing very well up in 3rd place ahead of the 2 Red Bulls. Ricciardo, not realistic in there being 6th place. He'd be over the moon if he got 6th place at the moment. Russell only down in 18th, struggling behind Schumacher as well. So there's a little bit of work, I think, for Russell to do, but also just the AI, and we'll really see how good the pace is. But anyway, it's time to have some questions asked to us.
Let's have yours. It's been a great qualifying session for you. Are you going to carry that momentum into the race?
Oh, Claire, we didn't want to see you on F1 2020.
It looks like you've really been focusing on research and development this season.
Yes, because we need to not be the slowest car on the grid.
Appreciate your time.
And thanks for wasting mine. Just to confirm though, Emma is in this series as well. Time then for the race.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. Formula One returns to the desert today on this exceptional 3.36 mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities. It could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. So here we are in 2021 at the start of another Formula One World Championship. It all begins here. Mercedes looking to retain their hold on the title. Red Bull seeking to secure their position as the main contender for that title. Ferrari no doubt hoping for a fresh start following their difficulties last year. And elsewhere on the grid, the prospect of some really exciting battles, including between the newly rebranded Aston Martin and Alpine teams. Lots to discuss then with Anthony Davidson, who's joined me in the commentary box for today's event.
It's good to be back, Crofty. Let's hope for some good racing today. We can't know at this point how competitive these teams are relative to each other, but hopefully nobody is able to run and hide. We want to see these drivers pushing to the limit all the way to the checkered flag.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Verstappen, Sergio Perez and Ricciardo, Sainz, Vettel, Leclerc and Lance Stroll, a Williams, Gasly, Fernando Alonso and Tsunoda, Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, George Russell and Antonio Giovinazzi, Mazepin and Esteban Ocon rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Okay, Ocon seemed to have had a penalty there, I think, but obviously it doesn't tell you on the rundown anymore. But anyway, strategy is going to be a one-stop soft to mediums. I think that's probably the best we're going to do, really. Fuel, I'm not so sure about. Obviously, we don't have lean mix or rich mix, so we've got to try and find that balancing out as well. In the first race then, in this series, in this career mode, 5 red lights are out and away we go, and it's a good start, better than the close. Had a terrible start in the Ferrari. We're up into the points, into P10, so we go now down the try and have a look around the outside of Sainz as well. It's going to turn to the inside then for turn number 2. And we're ahead as Norris has forced out Perez as well. So we're going to get another position and up into P5. They're lofty heights for the Williams here. Have a look, tried to have a look around the out to the inside, but we had to take avoiding action really. Again, the brakes not really working now. We're going to go side by side with Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. I'm going to force him out into the middle sector and retain P6 as Ricciardo now is starting to make some moves after a poor start for the Australian, and he's now trying to have a look at the club, but he's took the inside there, and the AI did their typical notice. We're on board now, jumping a few laps later. We're now on board with Kimi Raikkonen, who's behind this little train that I'm forming with Kimi behind Tsunoda, and he's lost it, Raikkonen, and Raikkonen's around. So AI mistakes are definitely well, that's more than I saw in F1 2020, as tyre wear is a little bit, I don't want to say this, but they seem to have maybe tinkered with it a little bit. Don't remember it being this harsh. Maybe that's front left 37%, the rest of it's in the 30s. Bearing in mind we are coming at the end of the next lap number 7, as Norris comes in, and as well as Bottas, so they're going to come in. I believe Bottas was leading the race actually ahead of Hamilton, as well as Sainz and Alonso is going to come in. Perez came in the lap before, so we'll see where we come up with him and Ricciardo. Williams pit stop 2.3 seconds. You guys know, of course, Williams are some of pretty much the second fastest team for pit stops. Even if we haven't got, he's going to go on P8, and there's Perez, and there's Ricciardo, and Perez is going to be on the outside. We're going to try and give him some room. We're going to pinch him into turn 2 and retain. Well, it's going to be P8 because of fewer people, but this is Perez. I don't think he did not expect to be overcut by myself. It seems the overcut strategy can work on this year's game, which is more than what there is. We're watching Russell there behind one of the Alfa Romeos. I think that's Giovinazzi, who's ahead of Hamilton, he's got himself in between Hamilton and Bottas, which is allowing Bottas to escape as Hamilton slows down. As Perez has another go with DRS to the inside, we're going to retain the inside. Excuse me, tries to go the outside, and on the turn to turn 3, Daniel Ricciardo is going to have the outside. He had DRS up to turn 4, and thank you very much, says Daniel, and he's now another position and up into P6. So Ricciardo's come back in this race. Not sure where Leclerc is in respect to all this. We'll find out at the end of the Grand Prix. Ricciardo now has a go around the outside. Again, we take the inside line into turns 2 and 3, and that gives you the advantage. And Perez does have a go at this, but out of this corner then Sainz is in a good position to take both of them. Maybe as Sainz pulls the inside. No, there's a puff of smoke. The Sainz is out of the race with an engine failure. As so Sainz is now out. Ricciardo has a good old go at us again. Can he keep Perez behind him again? Yes, he can. As he jumps to lap number 12, the next lap. It's a deja vu move, but this time Ricciardo isn't quite so alert to where Perez is, and Perez goes around the outside into turns 2 and 3, and will now move back up into 6th place. And now Perez is having a go at us on the back straight on the penultimate lap. We're going to take the outside line and try and take the outside through the final corner. He's going to give us DRS as well, which is going to help us. Ricciardo is coming out of nowhere as well, so it's going to be 3 wide down the main straight. The first 3 wide moment there. I think we're going to be able to cut up front. Perez take the outside then, not the inside. We understeer a little bit, didn't want to go that wide, but nevertheless through turns 2 and 3 we do manage to keep ahead of Ricciardo, and of course he gives us DRS as well, but that's not stopping Ricciardo of course with the straight line speed. And I think Perez and is that Stroll coming to join as well? I think it is Stroll in the Aston Martin. And we'll get a replay of this, but Stroll had a great run with the double toe off Perez, went for the inside and then gets pinched by by Ricciardo on the exit there. But anyway, Perez couldn't come back at us in the end, and in the end we're going to cross the line. It's points in our first race. It's P5, and I'll definitely take those points because obviously the struggle is more to come with the AI difficulty set to increase as well. Although I do think though we probably could still got points in the end, even if we qualify, even if we had the AI difficulty a little bit higher. I still thought we could get at least a couple of points maybe around Bahrain. It's one of my better circuits really as well. Bottas then, the confirmation he did get there quite comfortably in the end over Hamilton, who got stuck in that traffic. Russell, he overcut too much, lost out to Schumacher, who undercut Giovinazzi and Ocon
Great
as well.
work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
Yes, I mean, it was great. We were.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
I couldn't do them without them behind me.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Okay, well there we go then. Race one is over. For Bahrain as well. It's a good result, P5. Don't know when we're going to get points again. Azerbaijan maybe, certainly not on Monaco. I've driven Monaco in time trial yesterday. It's just sliding into the barriers is the phrase of turn. It's just a nightmare to drive for me personally. Vettel also getting points. Gasly unfortunate in his pursuit of points. But if you then have enjoyed this video, then leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you do see plenty more F1 2021 gameplay as and when it comes out. Hopefully it'll be Monaco tomorrow, if not the day after. Online race as well tomorrow as well. But until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care, enjoy your day, and goodbye.